talk with you guys. I'm really just going to talk for about 20-25 minutes. I'm going to open it up to questions. Anything you guys want to ask that's not secret or top secret, I can tell you. And yeah, feel free to ask anything you want but as I go through this presentation. But first, so you guys know where I'm coming from, I was actually born and raised in Mesquite, Texas. Yeah, so a little bit, not too far away, probably about 45 minutes away. My parents still live there. And my parents are from the Philippines. My sister and I were born here. As I mentioned, I am married to another fighter pilot. He is currently F-35s out in Carswell, or Joint Navy, whatever they renamed it, the Navy Fort Joint Naval Base Fort Worth. There, I have one little girl who is 8 years old right now, and then another furry puppy that's 13 years old, golden retriever. So how did I get to where I'm at? I'll give you guys the shortcut. When I left Dallas, I said I would never come back to Texas, and here I am. I went to the Air Force Academy and graduated in 2004 with an astronautical engineering degree. Kind of ties into the dream that you guys see on the right side. I initially wanted to be an astronaut when I was probably a sophomore in high school. So I went to my high school counselor. I said, hey, how do I become an astronaut? She said, I have no idea. Let me look it up. And she told me to go to a service academy, first and foremost, go be a fighter pilot, and then go be a test pilot or try out for test pilot, which leads to NASA. Obviously, that's not the case. You don't have to go to a service academy or become a fighter pilot or any of that to be an astronaut nowadays. SpaceX just went yesterday. So, but that is what I did, and that kind of led my path of where I wanted to go when it came to a career move. So I went to the Air Force Academy, as I mentioned. After the Air Force Academy, I went to pilot training. Took about 2 years. Can talk all about that and how fun that is. I went to pilot training. I started off in Moody Air Force Base, Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia, flying the T-6. Luckily, did well enough there to earn T-38s out at Laughlin Air Force Base in Del Rio, Texas. 7 years. There you go. Went for introductory fighter training at Shepherd Air Force Base, which is about 4 to 6 weeks long. And then did well enough to get my first choice, which was an F-16. So I went to Luke Air Force Base after that, and that's when I started my entire Air Force career. I did 4 operational tours as a F-16 pilot. So what that means is if I wasn't in combat, I was training for combat. I started off after finishing F-16s at Hill Air Force Base in Utah. Then I went to South Korea, Japan, Italy, and then I ended up in Fort Worth, Texas. So quite a ways. I joke because when I left the United States to go to South Korea, it was iPhone 1, and I came back and it was iPhone 10. So it was very eye-opening to me to come back to Texas. And then I actually left the Air Force in 2016 to be a stay-at-home mom for 2 years while my husband finished up his tour in Aviano Air Base, Italy. So he did, or he's still in the Air Force Reserves, but during my time flying the F-16, I have about 1,800 hours in fighter aircraft. And that includes T-6, T-38, L-39, F-16, F-35, A and C variants. So 1,800 hours in that. Most of that is 1,600 hours in the F-16 and about 400 hours of combat time. So I did deploy 3 times during my time to the Middle East and got some combat time there. Once I got done living vicariously through my husband, as a stay-at-home mom, I was like, here's the baby, what'd you do today? I decided to join Lockheed Martin. Most people think I actually joined Lockheed 6 years ago as a pilot. I did not. I joined as an engineer. So I was helping with the F-16 group as a systems engineer. Completely was not expecting to fly. Had the opportunity to be an assistant to a vice president there. He introduced me to the chief pilot, and boom, he asked me if I wanted to fly. Who would say no to that? So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes. So about 5 years ago, I got requalified in the F-16. And then 3 years ago, luck and timing, F-35 slot came open for our cadre, and they offered me the chance to be dual qualify F-16 and F-35s as a civilian. So my job, there are 14 of us that do what we do in the world.
Wow. Are you their first female?
I am their first and only female, yes. Yeah. Surprising, I don't know why. Like I said, just luck and timing, but yeah, we have 14 guys. 5 of us fly F-16, 9 of it, did I do the math right? Yep, 9 of us fly F-35s, and 2 of us are dual qual. So, so yeah, it's an exciting job to have, definitely. What else is on here? Oh, yep. So I fly, I'll talk more about what we do as LM pilots. But so essentially my job right now is I'm primarily on the F-35. I can fly in the F-16 if they need me to, but just doing more F-35 work. And I'm also the business operations manager for all of Aero Flight Ops. So I handle the money, the people, and the resources to make it work. That's a good way to do it.
So you're saying that there's 16 people globally that fly these fighter jets as civilians. You are one of only 2 globally who are dual qualified.
Yeah, so we have 14 of us, and 2 of us are dual qual right now. Yep, so only 14 of us wore the navy blue flight suit with the Lockheed Martin sign on it.
But you're all employees of Lockheed Martin?
Correct, correct. We have one who is a military reservist, part-time, and all of us, the rest of us are completely civilian. Half the cadre is test pilots, so a graduate from a test pilot school, and then half of us are operational test, which is what my background is. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Question.
Are you one of the duelists?
I am one of the dual qualified pilots. Yes, so I fly the 16 and the 35.
I would have to assume that being an engineer and having the actual pilot time, and when you're talking about engineering stuff, you can apply that to, hey, we need to do this, and it probably makes you more indispensable than people that don't have that.
It does help with the credibility, I'm not going to lie. However, we don't, like for instance, my husband, I will be biased, he is one of the best fighter pilots out there based off some of the awards he's gotten. But he has a military history degree.
Yeah.
So it helps. I want to say a majority of the Lockheed Martin pilots do have an engineering background per se, but it's not necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, it helps when we talk to the engineers when I'm trying to figure out, put the engineer hat on. Yeah. Yes.
What was your dream before becoming an astronaut?
Getting straight A's. Honestly, I didn't really have a direction. Her question was, what was my dream before I wanted to be an astronaut? I just wanted to do well in school and make my parents happy. And then I went down to Houston, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So it kind of just pointed me in the right direction. All right. I'm going to play a little game real quick before I go through the slideshow. 2 truths and a lie. So I want you to hold the finger up of which one you think is a lie, okay? So, which is a lie? The F-35 and the F-16 can fly faster than the speed of sound, climb to 20,000 feet in a matter of seconds, and both have 2 engines. Which one's a lie? All right, we got a smart crowd. Yes. Both the F-16 and F-35 are single engine. I like it that way. So, but yes, they can both. The F-16 can go Mach 2, F-35 can go Mach 1.6. Generally, what we'll do in some of the checks that I'll talk about is we'll take it up to about Mach 1.4 just between Fort Worth and Wichita Falls area. So that equates to almost about 2,000 miles an hour. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Can we climb up to 20,000 feet high in a matter of seconds? F-16 has 50,000 pounds of thrust in afterburner. F-35 has 43,000 pounds of thrust in afterburner. So you can imagine we can get up there really quick. Another one of our checks we do is we climb straight up to 15,000 feet. That takes me about 8-9 seconds to get up there.
And I'm 9.
Yeah, there you go. All right. My helmet sitting over there. F-35 helmet costs the same as a Ferrari. Allows me to see through the airplane and weighs 10 pounds. Which one is the lie? Oh, we got a mixed review here. Number 3 is the lie. It actually weighs about 6 pounds. It is, the price was really high at first. Obviously, the more that we produce, the lower it goes. But yes, it is equivalent right about now. Don't quote me if you Google it, about $300,000. Yeah. That is custom made to my head. So what they'll do is they'll take 2 days, 2 full days to create that for each pilot. They will sit you down in a chair to do a 3D scan of your head. If you want to know what you look like bald, that's what they do. They'll put the movie kind of, whatever they do for the movies to put wigs on. And they'll scan your head, and the inside of that helmet is actually, there's a cushion there, and then underneath it is a piece of foam-like material. It is very comfortable, but there's a reason it has to be extremely comfortable and it's extremely snug to the person who's wearing it, is because we employ weapons with it, right? So we will use that to pinpoint exactly what we're looking at, either on the air, in the air, or on the ground as well. And then, yes, I can see through the ground with it. It's not the most tactical, useful thing to do, but what we would do is there are 6 cameras located around the aircraft called DAS cameras, or Distributed Aperture System. It is a missile warning system for us, but it's also a video, IR video, that we will put the video onto the inside visor. It is a helmet-mounted display, so I'll show we do not have a HUD or that heads-up display that you normally have in fighters. It's all in the helmet. We'll put the video on that inside visor, and anywhere I look, I see through the plane. So I can be flying straight ahead. 1 second. I'll be flying straight ahead, and I'm looking down, and I see the world under me kind of go in a green type of feature. Yep.
If I put that on now, isn't that fighter airplane I'll fall asleep in a matter of minutes?
Unfortunately, I cannot let anybody pick that one up. So, and then I said it weighs 6 pounds on our helmet. All right, so which is the lie here? A fighter pilot must be in good shape to deal with the stresses of flying, have a STEM background, science, tech, engineering, and math background, or know how to handle dynamic situations. Yeah, this one's pretty easy, right? I gave it away with the question you asked. You do not necessarily need the STEM background, right? Nicely done. But you do need to be able to, 1, handle the stresses of flying. Obviously, you guys know how stressful flying can be. A little bit stressful as well when you're getting shot at, going Mach 1.4. So we're trained to handle it, obviously, and then some dynamic situations. So what do? I get to wear a onesie all day to work. And then I love this because this is kind of explains what people think I do. Thanks to Tom Cruise, people think I don't know, fly jets and play volleyball. Sometimes society thinks I'm just dropping bombs all day. My parents think I'm about to eject. My husband thinks I play in a sim all day, which sometimes is true, not always. And then engineers, the engineers, man, they love to give you a book this big, and they're like, here, read this in the cockpit. And you're like, no. So what I do as a Lockheed Martin pilot is we are the very first ones to fly the jets off the factory, whether it's an F-16 or an F-35. F-16 is currently it was originally being made here. Now it is being made in Greenville, South Carolina. So I had the opportunity to fly the first F-16 Block 70 out. out of there, which was amazing because I love the F-16. I love what it does. And then out here, when you see us flying primarily the F-35, it's a lot of the times that's the first time you're seeing that jet fly. So you can imagine functional check flights, but really beefed up because the analogy I like to say is I'm handing you the keys to a very expensive sports car, go max perform it as much as you can, try and get it out of control, try and take it off the track, do whatever you can, and let me know if it works. Bring it back, yes, yes, bring it back as well as good as when you took it off. So
Do you find crabs very often when you're doing those first test flights?
do I find what, sir?
Do you find crabs? I mean, defects?
Generally with the vehicle systems part, so all of the engine, the gear, the flight controls are very well, because we just passed 1,000 jets of production. So we rarely find any issues with that. Because of the complexity of how the F-35 is, it can take a lot of the software. I mean, they say it, turn it off, turn it back on, sit on your hands. Literally, this plane is so smart that's really what you have to do.
Well, software engineers are always tinkering with their software. They're never done.
I know.
So that thing's probably always being revised.
Oh, yeah. And we're going actually through a very, very huge upgrade called Tech Refresh 3, which is the biggest upgrade the F-35 has done since it's been created. So, and you can imagine this jet has, I want to say, 20 million lines of code. I want to say 20 million or higher.
Like Windows.
Oh, Alt Control Delete does not work. So, but each line, yeah, Mac, yeah. Each line is a code, and that's obviously leading to either combat systems or mission systems. So it can get a little daunting at times to get the jet started and going, but once she goes, she's usually pretty good. Yep.
Well, the F-16 it's been around for a long time, right? So
1979, yep.
Are they just like making it better and bringing it like into this generation, or?
So what we call F-16, it's previously called was 4th generation aircraft. The F-35 is a 5th generation aircraft. The latest F-16 that we have created is what they like to call 4.5 generation. So it's getting a whole new cockpit inside that's a little bit more upgraded, digitalized. A lot of the gauges that previous F-16s did not have. Beefier structure as well. So that, no,